Hello and welcome to this edition of World at War. I'm your host, Mohammed Saleh. Will Russia shoot down American satellites during the spring offensive? This is a question that is giving sleepless nights to the military strategists in the Pentagon. Konstantin Vorontsov, the deputy director of Russia's Foreign Ministry's Department for Non-Proliferation and Arms Control, has gone on record and has said, and I quote him here, quasi-civilian infrastructure may be legitimate target for a retaliatory strike. We are talking about the involvement of components of civilian space infrastructure, including commercial, by the United States and its allies in armed conflicts. Russia is not mincing its words here. In no uncertain terms, American satellites that have been aiding the Ukrainian war machine in carrying out surveillance, tracking and intelligence will be shot down. And if Russia decides to carry through with its threat, then we'll be witnessing something that has never happened in the history of warfare. And this is no empty threat either. On the 15th of November in 2021, just 3 months before the Russian invasion of Ukraine, Moscow tested a new type of anti-satellite weapon called neerhalen that has been described as unlike anything that has been tested by any other nation. What Russia destroyed in this test was a defunct Soviet-era satellite called Cosmos 1408. This was a pretty big satellite that weighed almost as much as 1,750 kilograms. These satellite images captured by Numerica, a Colorado-based company that tracks space debris, will give you a glimpse of the before and after images of the destruction of the satellite. The Americans, as one would expect, were apoplectic.
This test will significantly increase the risk to astronauts and cosmonauts on the International Space Station, as well as to other human spaceflight activities. Russia's dangerous and irresponsible behavior jeopardizes the long-term sustainability of outer space and clearly demonstrates that Russia's claims of opposing the weaponization of space are disingenuous and hypocritical.
The Soviets beat the Americans in the space race by sending the very first satellite Sputnik 1 into space in 1957. But guess what the Americans did? They came up with the world's first anti-satellite ballistic missile called Bold Orion in 1958. Soviet Union successfully developed its own anti-satellite weapon in 1968. Only 2 other nations, China and India, have demonstrated their capacity to shoot down satellites. In 2007, China destroyed one of its defunct weather satellites, Fengyun 1C, using its SC-19 anti-satellite missile in a head-on collision. The Chinese satellite knockout detonation resulted in 40,000 chunks of debris with a diameter that was larger than 1 centimeter. In 2012, India's DRDO's then chairman V.K. Saraswat had stated that India has the critical technologies that are needed for an anti-satellite weapon system. But it would be in 2019 that India, in an anti-satellite weapons test called Mission Shakti, would intercept a satellite, Microsat-R, from a low Earth orbit of 300 kilometers. For the Ukrainians, commercial satellites of Starlink have provided a tremendous advantage. With its constellation of presently over 3,000 satellites that zip past the Earth at an altitude of 328 to 614 kilometers in low Earth orbit, Starlink ensured that the Ukrainian military stays connected throughout. Starlink provides data transfer that is said to be 10 times faster than other commercial satellite communication systems. Starlink's antenna contraption is simple, but its impact on the battlefield was almost immediate. For its part, Russia relies on its GLONASS system for communication and surveillance. But these satellites are simply no match for the 3,000 low Earth orbit constellation of Elon Musk. At the moment, both Russia and Ukraine, that is backed by the NATO military alliance, have fought themselves to a stalemate. Very little territory has exchanged hands in the last 4 long, bitter months of winter. Wars are often decided on the basis of who brings superior military technology to the battlefield. And sometimes, when all else is equal, wars are decided on the basis of who pulls the trigger first. You don't need to blow up a satellite to smithereens for it to cease functioning. There are other ways of incapacitating and jamming a satellite, such as satellite lasers. Both Russia and the United States possess these weapons. The Outer Space Treaty of 1967 has expressly banned the stationing of nuclear weapons or the weapons of mass destruction or the installation of military bases in space. But the one glaring loophole in the Outer Space Treaty is that it is silent on conventional weapons in space. In the last 10 years, the United States has developed what is known as a space plane called the X-37B. The United States claims that this orbital test vehicle is meant only for repairing satellites. But Russia has dubbed this to be a super weapon, capable of getting really close to satellites and even tailing them. The Russia-Ukraine war is poised on a delicate precipice. The sabotage of Nord Stream pipelines has shown that these nations are not willing to hold back from targeting even critical infrastructure. But if Russia or the United States were to train their missiles on each other's satellites, then this would be one of the biggest disruptive moments for every single person on planet Earth. It could plunge humanity back to the kind of life that existed before the dawn of the space age.